No, it is not. In fact, well, I'm going to ask you another question. I'm going to look up a quote from Robert Heinlein about bad luck. I don't know whether you've ever seen that, and it's apropos, given that Grok is part of our name from one of the most famous stories from the golden age of science fiction, Stranger in a Strange Land, which means Grok means to understand fully and deeply. The question I have is, we've got an election coming up. We're not going to have the supermajorities that we currently have for conservative libertarian thinkers. The Free Staters will come in. The libertarians and the Free Staters have all come under attack from the Democrats, saying they're all anarchists. Anarchy is also a loss of freedom, because then it devolves to the strongman way of government. But how do we answer from your standpoint, and how do you make the cause of freedom to be able to say, and your alternative is what? You know, why do you attack these folks that just say, we want to go back to a government that allows us the greatest amount of freedom?
Adhering to a constitution is the antithesis of anarchy. Looking at the language of a foundational document saying, let us be respectful of this, is the antithesis, is the opposite of what anarchy is. Truly, those who think that this document is a guidepost but not a direction as to how to conduct ourselves in public affairs, they are the anarchists. Those who think that government should be the source of all solutions to all societal problems, and indeed assume that problems can't be solved by individuals or by families or by communities. They're the anarchists. They're the ones that are going to destroy freedom. Those who come forward and say, for example, government should leave me alone, aren't anarchists. They're basically they're basically preventing government from abusing and putting government back to its necessary position as a protector of freedom and not a vindicator of entitlements.
Well, I found that Heinlein quote, so let me read it. It comes from instapundit.com. Glenn Reynolds, professor of law in Tennessee, puts it up all the time. And he's a libertarian-style person, so let me read this. Throughout history, poverty is the normal condition of man. Advances which permit this norm to be exceeded, here and there, now and then, are the work of an extremely small minority, frequently despised, often condemned, and almost always opposed by all right-thinking people. Whenever this tiny minority is kept from creating, or, as sometimes happens, is driven out of a society, the people then slip back into abject poverty. This is known as bad luck. Now, he was talking at this point about economic liberty, the ability for entrepreneurs and small business owners to do their own thing without being coerced, without being over-regulated, or in the case of Obama, absolutely, well, despised. New Hampshire is the live free or die state. What are we doing to keep that from happening in the economic sphere, and what can we do to keep that from a personal liberty against what the Democrats would want to do if they win the elections and start to take power back in Congress?
Yeah, among the things they're doing is limiting government itself, is trying to reduce government, is talking about and legislating an assumption that government shouldn't be substituting for individual responsibility, which encourages individual responsibility. Government shouldn't be legislating in ways that reduces the responsibility of families and mothers and fathers to take care of their children. What are we doing? We're passing bills such as the school choice bill that allows businesses to put money into charitable corporations that will give folks who are middle income or lower income the ability to go out and educate children in a way that's best for them. We are limiting government, providing individual opportunities. We're basically getting back to the point that we should have never departed, which is government isn't the first answer, but as often provides no answer at all to society.
Yeah, in fact, we had Leslie Heiner on earlier from the Milton Foundation. That would be Milton Friedman Foundation, who I understand did a lot of background trying to help people this past. And we talked about the ability to, well, kind of summarized by the phrase I like to say a lot, and I think the bill that you helped shepherd through the House and then get put into law, children do not deserve a public education. Instead, children deserve a publicly funded education. It seems that certainly the Democrats want to say, well, public education for all, and then all fits one size. But they control it. It's government control. It's not public education, it's government education. They hate it when I say that, but it really is true, because they brook, unless you are super rich, they brook no variation from that. Every child has to go to public education. And I can tell you, being a former budget committee member of my little hamlet, most of the money doesn't go just for the children, it goes for the adults.
Yeah, one of the things, I'm kind of reaching back to something you said earlier, one of the things that we can't do is see the narrative to them, see the vocabulary to them. And you make this point very well. They're not advocating for a public education. They're advocating a state education. They're saying there's only one institution that can educate our children, and that's the state. And I think, you know, if you understand, if you use the proper words, then you understand exactly what they're saying. They want us to talk about public education. It reminds me back in the 1920s and 30s, the history from that period where the progressive label became so radioactive. Liberals. It took away the historic understanding of what the liberal was, which is
in the classic Western liberal tradition.
Exactly. They took that term away, and they do it in so many different ways. You know, the word anarchist, someone who is doing nothing more than saying government has a place, but government isn't the be-all and end-all of our existence. Its place is to protect our rights, not to be providing solutions to all imaginable problems. We have other ways of doing that don't take away our freedom. We have our religions, we have our families, we have other institutions that aren't as dangerous as government. And yet they want us to say that is anarchy, and it clearly isn't. So we have to push back. That's what we have to do in New Hampshire. That's what we have to do as a country, is push back and not cede the narrative, cede the vocabulary.
And oftentimes it does mean the strict definition of words, because that's really what it comes from. Oftentimes, for instance, the word freedom, for me and for you, the word freedom means freedom from government coercion. To progressives, the word freedom means freedom from want, freedom from need. And that sounds kind of nice. You know, we don't want people to go hungry, we want people to have shelter, and there's a number of things that go along with that. But they never talk about the flip side, which means in order to give that small subset of people freedom, we have to enslave other people. And they hate that word, but in essence, by taking of the fruits of my labor, you are saying that you have a better use for my time, which is finite, that you can demand my time to provide for something else. Very much a libertarian argument. But I think we have to get back to that and almost go to the right and then further to be able to go against it, because they've gone so far left and, as you have said, co-opted the language.
And similarly, look what they've done with the concept of rights and the definition of the word right. The framers, the founders of our country and our state, rights were something that described how government was supposed to relate to individuals. If you look at the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, it's all about what government isn't supposed to do to people. If you recall, the argument at the time as to why we didn't need a Bill of Rights was because this is a limited government and enumerated powers. and therefore it's, the argument was it's completely redundant. You don't tell them what not to do, and they can only do what you've given them the right to do. Now we see 2 centuries later, rights being confused with the concept of entitlement. I have a right to contraception. I have a right to medical services. I have a right to food. I have a right to have my relationship with another person defined as a marriage. All these false rights that pollute and pervert the underlying concept that protects us from.
Correct.
GrokTV.